Hi, my name is Frank Paganis with Pagani Hair Color and Design in Riverside. And today I have Eduardo Marentes with me to show him a couple techniques and ideas of how to do his hair and make him look like his favorite superstar soccer player. So with Eduardo, we actually had him come in earlier and we actually did a little bit of the hair cutting. And so now I'm going to go through, I'm going to wet his hair down a little bit and actually show him how to put product in correctly. Before I do that, I'd like to explain a couple of things though about prepping hair, which is really, really important. You know, when shampooing and conditioning, it really is the basis for starting any kind of a style, whether it be for a young man or a young woman. And too often times I see people not using shampoo and conditioner correctly. So we just want to give a couple seconds to explain the best way to do that. For a boy or a girl, it doesn't really matter. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you take about the size of a quarter of shampoo and work it all through the hands. And too often times I see, when I have people explaining how they're actually using shampoo, they say they go like this, they put their hands on like that, and next thing you know they've got two concentrated areas of shampoo and they don't feel like they have enough, so they go and grab more. You don't need to do that. So first thing you want to do is you want to wet the hair down completely, take about the size of a quarter, emulsify well in the hands, and then using the fingertips, get the fingertips down to the base, almost like you're giving yourself a scalp massage. You can then add a little bit more water so it creates a good lather. And you want to make sure that you're actually going through and massaging with the fingertips, not with the palms. After you rinse the hair, you want to go ahead and you want to put conditioner in. And when the conditioner is in your hands like so, again, you want to go through and let it sit. You want it to sit while you're showering. So, and then once you're done showering, then you want to rinse out that shampoo and then you can proceed with styling. So Eduardo's hair is already dried, so we're going to spray his hair down a little bit. The haircut is done, and we've actually kept it shorter on the sides, a little bit longer on top, and we did a little bit of a choppier look on top so that he has a little bit of movement. So, and you can see how back here in this middle we kept it longer too, kind of progressively getting longer, so almost giving it a modified version of a faux hawk. So we'll add some water. When you guys are using, when you men out there are actually using a pomade, you want to go through and make sure that you're doing it on hair that's semi-wet. You don't want it soaking wet and you don't want it totally dry either. You want it to have a little bit of moisture so that the product will glide through the hair a little bit better. So, and being that Eduardo's hair was already completely dry, we're going to wet it down a little bit. Work that through a little. So we're going to use a paste on Eduardo's hair, and it's a medium hold paste, and we're only going to take about the size of a large pea. So, and again, most of the times I'll see people when using a product, they'll go like that and then start actually applying it into the hair. But you can see I've got little concentrations of it everywhere. You want to make sure you get a nice even thin coat like so. And then we're going to use the fingertips into the scalp, all the way in. And once you go through 3 or 4 times, you'll notice that the product is off of the fingertips but sitting on the palm. So we're going to go through, re-emulsify, and we're going to keep doing this until the product has dissipated from the hands. So we're going to use a little bit more because Eduardo does have a ton of hair. And again, we're going to get a nice even thin coat. We're going to work this through. And we're going to work this in everywhere. You want to make sure that, you know, the more even the application of product, the more even an end result we're going to get. So from here, we're going to actually have Eduardo look at the camera now. And once you've got the product in, then you can start giving it the detail. So the photo that Eduardo showed me, the soccer player had hair that was kind of pulled down on the sides. It was kind of messy on top. So, and all we're trying to do is we're just trying to recreate what was in the photo. So don't be afraid of using your fingertips and actually placing hair where you want it. As long as it's cut right, everything should fall into place. Also, when you're working with your hair in the morning, don't be so worried about it looking the exact way every single time that you're gonna do it. It'll never work like that. You know, always have a little bit of freedom in the way that you want it to look. So, you know, one day you might, you know, it might be a little bit spikier, one day it may lay down a little bit more. Be okay with that. Just make sure that the overall balance of it is balanced and the actual overall silhouette has a good shape to it. Internally, you know, every single piece, like, you know, today, this piece happens to stick out. Well, tomorrow, it might be that piece. That part of it's okay. Don't be so stuck on making sure that every hair is in place, but just that the overall balance looks good. So, and when doing something like this, you also want to make sure that because we're working with a paste, you don't want to see those little areas where you can tell that the product was first applied there. So once you go through, if you need a little bit of control, you can spray a little bit of water in your hands, like so. And again, fingertips down to the base, and then we'll start to look at this and kind of put it into shape. And don't forget to use your mirror, okay? A mirror is as important of a tool as the product that you're using so that you can actually see what's going on. One of the biggest problems that I see when kids are explaining how they're shampooing and conditioning is they're not using the very balls of their finger and they're not doing it aggressively enough on the scalp. Oftentimes they're going over and they're using a very, very light pressure. But in order to get the natural oils that are secreted from the head off, you've got to get your fingers in there. It also stimulates blood flow, and it's actually very healthy for your scalp. So, let's see how we're doing. And then from here, you know, a lot of young guys aren't going to use hairspray. They're going to use just a pomade, you know, which is fine. So, and you want to use a pomade for a look like this more than a gel, because a gel is going to give a good hold and good form, but if your hands go through gel, it loses its form and it becomes kind of fuzzy and puffy. You want to use a paste because a paste is actually going to keep the hair pliable, and if Eduardo's hair moves during the day, he can you know, go into the bathroom and kind of wet it back down a little bit and kind of put it back into place, you know, very much like so. So we're going to give it an overall look to make sure everything is where we want it to be. Do you have any questions about shampooing your hair? Or conditioning your hair?
No.
How about styling?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure.
So, one of the great things about working with young people is that, you know, it allows me a chance to meet someone and to kind of give them the tools necessary to not only do their hair now, but then kind of use these things as they go through their life and keeping their hair in really, really good shape. So, and so with that, you know, we kept it a little bit longer in the sideburn. We cleaned up the back and we gave him this kind of full hockey look back here, which looks really cool. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and again, this is Take Over My Makeover. Welcome back to Take Over My Makeover. My name is Frank Paganis with Pagani Hair in Riverside, Illinois. I now have with me Vinny LaManna, a student from RB, and we're going to show Vinny a couple ways to style his hair. A little bit different than Eduardo. His hair is a little bit finer and does not have the same density. And we're actually going to use a blow dryer this time and some different products. So I'm just going to finish up the haircut a little bit and put some texture into it, and we're going to make it look great for him. So how you doing, Vinny?
Fantastic. What about you?
Excellent. Fantastic. So when Vinny first came to me earlier, his hair was a lot longer on the side. So, you know, he wanted a look that was going to be shorter, but not so short to show the scalp. So I went through and we did some scissor over comb, you know, tightening it up, but still having enough hair to keep the scalp covered. And then I went through, and we're going to go through right now and actually add a little bit more texture to it. So, and we're just going to do some point cutting so that it's, all the hairs aren't at one exact length. And by doing it like this, it allows us to have some longer pieces and some shorter pieces. Which then gives a better textured end result. It also doesn't have that fresh haircut look. Sometimes that look can be a bit too obvious. You know, a lot of guys, when they're young, you know, they figure they can use anything for the hair. They can use a bar of soap. They can use, you know, they can use just anything. And with that, it's just not good. So, you know, at the end of the day, you still, you know, it's hair. So we have to make sure that, you know, that we're actually, you know, giving it proper moisture. So even on a guy that's got short hair like Vinny, we want to make sure that, you know, that his hair stays in good shape. Hair that, you know, when guys use either bar soap or if they use like a shampoo that's just not of a good quality, it'll actually make the hair look fuzzier. So, and that's not good. We don't want his hair to look fuzzy. So, right, Vin?
Yeah. What kind of shampoo would you recommend? You
know, you want to use a good moisturizing shampoo. And for when hair is really, really short like this, you can definitely look for a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner combination. So first thing you do when you get in the shower, you rinse your hair, use about the size, and when you've got really short hair like this, about the size of a nickel or a quarter. And again, just make sure that you're not just taking it like so, and then just plopping it onto the head like this. You want to get the product out to the fingertips and get the fingertips down like so and scrub aggressively. You know, make sure you're not using the nails, you know, on the skin. You don't want to cause irritation, but just the actual pads of your fingertips. And this will help to get the product in there. It'll help to cleanse the hair really well, and then make sure that you rinse it out really, really good. If you're athletic or if you sweat a lot, or if you have naturally oily hair or skin, you can go through and you can actually shampoo a second time. That's absolutely okay, it's no problem. So, we're just gonna wrap this up a little bit. And Vin, when you wear your hair, do you wear it up and over to the side a little bit?
Yeah, wear it to the left.
We're going to the left, this way?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, let me come in here. Grab a different shear. So Vinny, do you have any challenges when you're working with your hair at home?
Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't go up because it's like really thin and like lifeless, I guess.
Okay.
But
so, and that's a challenge that I actually hear a lot of. So, you know, Vinny just said he feels like his hair is lifeless, and he does have fine hair. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna blow dry his hair in a moment, and we're gonna blow dry this hair back because I want the hair to stand up first. If I can get it to stand up, I can then support it with some product and some spray for it to last a little bit longer throughout the day. So when you get out of the shower, you do your hair and everything else, it probably looks good for the first half hour or so,
yeah.
And then it falls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hair that falls tells me that he's not applying product down at the support system of the hair, which is the hair growing out of the scalp. So in a moment here, I'm gonna show you how to put product on your fingertips and how to get even the styling product down at the base first. As opposed to just taking it in the hands like so, and then you just kind of plopping it on the top layer. A lot of young people I see take a product like so, and they kind of just go like this over the top layer. And what they're actually doing is they're actually making the hair end heavy, because they're adding all this weight out here, and then all of a sudden the hair just falls. So we need to make sure we support the first 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch of hair growing out from the scalp, and get the product down there, because that's our support system. So, before I start actually using a product, I'm just gonna take Vinny's hair and we're gonna blow dry it, and we're actually gonna blow dry it upwards and then kind of over to the left like he wants, and this will help to do a couple of things. Normally we put a pomade or a product on the hair when it has some moisture. In Vinny's case, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I need to give the hair a little bit of direction. So, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick all this up with the blow dryer. I'm just kind of getting it in the direction that I want it. When I get to the sides, I'm going to lay this down. so what I'm doing is I'm drying the hair in the direction in which I want it. So we're picking this up, bringing it over, the hair on the sides. We don't want this to pop out too much, so we're just laying this down with the blow dryer. And then from here, we'll go through and we'll start actually adding some pomade. I'm going to use a paste, a little bit thinner of a paste than I use on Eduardo. Because Eduardo's hair is very, very strong, I used something that was a little bit more firm. In this case, I'm going to use a product like so, and I'm going to use about the size of a small pea. We're going to go like this, we're going to break it down, get a nice, even, thin coat in the hands like so. And again, we're going to go fingertips to the base first. And just every time I go through 3 or 4 times, the product is off my fingertips but sitting in the palm. I'm going to get the product up to the fingertips. Your fingertips is where you'll have most of your control. If you're using the palms, you've got no control anymore. So, and then once I do that, I'm going to come in here. And from here, he looks like James Dean, doesn't he? So we're going to kind of pull this up like so. So laying the hair in the back area down, laying this hair up a little bit, and because we've now supported the hair by drying it in the direction in which we want it, you know, once you dry hair and you let it cool off in that position, it'll hold that position much better. So, and then we come through and we just make sure that that looks good. Rock and roll, just like that. And as you can see, we didn't need a lot of product. I think a lot of times people use way too much product and it becomes overpowering, and then they have all the stuff in their hands, which ultimately transfers into the hair. So if Vinny wanted to, he can definitely use a little bit of hairspray to pull this up. Grab me that red can by your hand, please. Yep. So all we can do is we just shoot a little bit of hairspray upward in the direction in which we wanted it, and a little bit of a finish. I think it looks good. So I'd like to thank Vinny for his time, and I'd like to thank everyone. And for the next segment, we're going to bring Jesse up, and we're going to show you how to do some more hairstyling tips. Welcome back to Take Over My Makeover. My name is Frank Paganis with Pagani Hair Color and Design in Riverside, Illinois. I'm here with Jesse King, and he'll be kind of walking through with me different challenges that he has with his hair and how we can best support him in making it look good throughout the day. So, Jesse, how are you?
Good.
Excellent. So, we did Jesse's haircut a little bit earlier this morning, and now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to add some detail to it. And then I'm going to ask Jesse a couple of questions about what challenges he has at home so that I can best support him with the right kind of product and the right way of actually fixing his hair so that he can look as good as he would like to look. So, how's that sound?
Good.
So my first question to you is, when working with your hair at home, what is your biggest challenge?
Just kind of getting it to do what I want it to do.
Okay.
Like it's kind of hard because it's really heavy. So at first it stays where I put it, but then it falls back down.
Okay. So, and this is a really important part of this, because now I'm starting to get ideas of how I needed to cut it like I did earlier. And we actually went through this earlier, but we're just kind of doing it again to kind of explain how important it is to, for me, the stylist, to know what his hair does and does not do so I can best support him. So, Jesse mentioned that because his hair is so thick and it doesn't really stay, that told me that I had to add a little bit more texture. So, and we're actually going to add more texture to it right now. So a lot of times when hair is only cut at the very, very ends, there's so much of it that the natural direction and movement takes over. So we need to go through and create, shorter hairs in there to create supports, if you will. So, and what are you using at home when you're styling it?
Either hairspray or gel. It's mostly what I've used.
Okay. And when you put your gel on, are you putting it on with your fingertips underneath, or is it more kind of on top?
Yeah, it's more kind of on top.
Okay. So so what I'm hearing from him are all things that are good to hear. So I know that I can at least give him some new ideas that will help him to make his hair last a lot longer and sustain throughout the day. So, which is good. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through. We're going to add some texture. All right, Jesse, if you put your head down for me a little bit. So I'm going through with a texturizing shear, and please don't try this at home. I'm going through and adding some shorter pieces within the longer pieces, kind of like so. And this is going to help me to support his hair best. Jesse has a ton of hair, which is fantastic. He's very lucky. So, you know, because you can always take the hair out. And, you know, this allows us much more freedom in the way that we're actually gonna fix it. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna work on the perimeter here a little bit just to create a little bit of a cleaner line. Same thing on the other side. Kind of like so. I'm going to take a peek and make sure everything's where it needs to be, almost. So now I'm actually going to shake out all those loose hairs that I just created, and then we're going to spray his hair down a little bit. And Jesse, are you putting your product in when your hair is really wet, or when it's really dry, or somewhere in between? Or?
Yeah, it's kind of in between.
In between, okay.
Yeah, it's still wet.
All right, very good. So right now I'm going through and I'm assessing how the haircut looks. And I see some areas that I have to clean up a little bit. And ultimately, one really important thing for a lot of you guys out there is you want to make sure that you're using the pads of your fingers and not your nails. I see a lot of guys are telling me that they're putting their hands through, but they're almost scratching themselves, which is irritating the scalp. You don't want to do that. Just the very pads of the fingertips, and get your fingertips all the way down to the base. And this will help to kind of move that hair and kind of, you know, make it a little bit easier to assess where you're at. So we're going to do a little bit of finish cutting. A little bit more water. Use your gut instinct. You know, price can definitely be a factor, so, you know, find someone who creates good value, but who is also going to give you the end result that you're looking for. So, all right, so now that we're at this point, I've got a little bit of moisture, and very much like Eduardo's hair, Jesse's hair is very strong, and we're gonna go through and I'm gonna use actually a clay, and bring the little clay bottle right there. Thank you. We're actually gonna use a clay on Jesse's hair, and this is gonna help to give a very good amount of strength and hold, but it's still gonna keep the hair pliable, so that, again, throughout the day, you know, if he's running around or for some reason, you know, he's in the wind or whatever, he can reform the style. When you're using a gel looks great as long as you don't manipulate the hair. It will stay in position. Once you manipulate that position, it kind of poofs up and has that dried look. And the only way to recreate what it looked like was getting the hair actually wet again. So, again, we're gonna make sure we've got a little bit of moisture here. And for those of you that have maybe dry skin or a dry scalp, I recommend using a separate shampoo and a conditioner. First thing you do when you get in the shower, you're gonna shampoo your hair. Again, scrub vigorously, rinse it out. You then wanna take your hands and just kind of wring out the excess water. So shake out that water, get a little bit of conditioner, work it through, and keep that, and get the fingertips to the scalp. And make sure that you're keeping the conditioner on your hair while you're taking a shower. You want to give it a couple minutes to do its job. So at this point, we're going to take a little bit of our clay. Again, about so much, okay? And you want to make sure that we break this down like so and get a nice, even, thin coat. You don't want to see concentrations of it anywhere. From here, fingertips down to the base. Take our hands back out. We're gonna pull my fingers all back like so, and then to give a messier look on top, then you can keep your fingers spread apart like so, and then bring this down. So now Jesse's got a look that will last throughout the day. He can go through and he can spike it up if he wants to. He can lay it down, he can pull it to the side. It doesn't matter because we've got really, really good control of the product, and we've got good control of the hair. And again, with a good haircut and a little bit of patience and a little bit of support, you're good. So my name is Frank Paganis, and I would like to thank you for watching Take Over My Makeover. And I'd like to thank Eduardo, Vinny, and Jesse for helping me out today.